Yo, what is up? It is Thursday, April 14th. We have some crazy stuff to talk about today. The first electric pickup's about to hit the market. Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter, like all of it? Well, let's talk about it. Let's go. Get a little bounce going.
What? No, the people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me. If it's
Man,
no need
I'll tell you what, man. I don't know why I'm ever surprised at what comes up in the morning while we're building this show.
You're like, wait a second. You're telling me.
You're telling me. That's good. That'll make a great t-shirt. So you're telling me, ... That'll be another one of my Kyle Mounts here t-shirts I'm going to make. I'm going to make the problem is,
yes, ...
And then, so you're telling me, ... These are going to be, I'm going to have a whole line of Mounts here fashion.
I've always wanted my own fashion line. That's not true. That's a lie. But yeah, hey, now I do though.
Hey, yesterday, did we talk about the pitch tank winner on the show?
No.
Okay, so Tuesdays.
Well, wait, how would we? No, because that was Wednesday. So pitch tank went. Yeah, and then today is we're good. We're good. Pitch tank winner from Wednesday. We got our dates straight. We promise.
Right. No. Because it was in the email. Every day we build a show, we build an email, we do a couple things every day. A couple things. Well, talk about the winner, Kyle. You ran that room. It's pitch tank. You're like the master MC.
Yes. So yesterday was an interesting day in pitch tank, and I'm just gonna call it like it is. Like what we recognize as an industry is that boiling down your product as far as what dealers need, what they need to hear, and how they need to hear it is not an easy thing to do. And when it happens really, really well, like the whole room goes crazy.
Everybody notices, right?
Everyone notices, wow, they prepared. They're able to. Actually, it's kind of interesting because back in the day when I was helping plant churches in Cincinnati, I went to these things and it was like, can you do a napkin pitch? Can you sit in front of someone, write it out on a napkin? Here's the vision. This is what we're doing, that kind of thing. And I think that vendors are well served at getting to that. Well, yesterday was a lesson in 3 that honestly didn't have that dialed in, but yet we were able to give them real-time feedback, get them to a point where it's like, oh, that's what I need to focus on. That's what people need to understand. Yet there was a really cool product that got talked about called Onboardian that won Pitch Tank yesterday. And the 2 big things that I think that came out of that and that really our industry is focusing on is, 1, it's a training platform, but it's also a retention platform, right? But what I really love about the actual platform is that it's app-based, and the way that it happens is the user, and right now it's a salesperson training platform. The user watches a scenario video and then has to record themselves responding to that.
Oh, that's cool.
It gets passed on to their manager, who then watches the recording and provides real-time feedback.
It's kind of like virtual talk tracking a little bit.
Exactly.
A little bit.
So instead of having to pull over a one-on-one or dedicate time or just a salesperson go through and answer like, oh, I would choose this video or I would choose that answer, they actually have to practice it in a native format that they're already used to, doing TikTok videos, doing Instagram reels, whatever it may be, and then get that feedback when it's available. And there's that rhythm and there's gamification. There's a lot of other things in the platform, but I think everyone was kind of keyed in. It was like everyone leaned in, but there was still this apprehension because, just the actual pitch. So there's a lot going on there, but
that's great. Well, congrats.
Pitch tank is good for everyone, for sure.
I mean, that's the point. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to help both sides of the industry come and push back together, right? Yep. Which means when vendors can communicate their value proposition more clearly, then dealers will understand whether or not if it's a good fit for them. And if it is, then they can get going and, be more efficient and start to innovate. And if it's not, they can move on faster and find the right solution. A couple other notes before we get into the news today. The Asodu family reunion remix is coming to you Monday, May 9th, first night of Digital Dealer in Tampa, Florida. We're about to drop all the information. We have some amazing sponsors. We're going to have an amazing retail-inspired swag experience. You know how we do. We're going to try to bring you something fresh and get all the value from coming and also have all the fun. So if you're going to Digital Dealer, you need to make sure that you're there. Even if you're not going to Digital Dealer and you're within like a couple hour drive of Tampa, it's probably worth the drive to come and hang out with us and a lot of dealers in the industry, a lot of awesome industry partners, and just have a really fun time. Just want to talk about that. We'll also want to say, hey, for those of you who have been listening to the podcast regularly or just started maybe, we just crossed 10,000 downloads on the podcast. Every month it's had a higher listenership. And if you would be so kind, if you enjoy the podcast, go to Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or go to Spotify and leave your boys a review.
Come on.
Let everybody know.
Stars, let everyone know on the, type something fun for us.
Yeah. Give them, if you leave a review, please don't leave a boring review, because you know how we do here in the Troublemaker. Right. Leave a troublemaking review, and actually we're going to monitor them and we will feature some of them on the show.
If you leave a review that's called "It's Great" and that's all you put, we will call you out on the show.
Be grateful, but we'll be like, we expect more from our community. It doesn't even have to be a good review. It just has to be a fun review.
Yes, exactly.
That's the qualification to get featured on the show. Last note, hey, we are hiring a senior graphic designer, right? We need to add to our team. Our team is expanding, growing. If you're a senior graphic designer or you know one who might want to work with this team, it can be fully remote. We already have some design skills on the team. We have some production skills, but we need someone that really has been around the block, who really likes having fun, who likes pushing the boundaries. And, you can kind of get a good feel for our attitude just by watching some of the content. So if someone wants to make some trouble in the design front, send them our way. We'll be eternally grateful.
Come on.
Let's get into some news. So it's been a long time. We've been talking about it, seeing demos. The release and the launch of the Ford F-150 Lightning is just days away, April 26th. So this is going to happen in Michigan. They're going to officially start production, but they're also going to, deliver some of these vehicles. Like, I remember the first time I saw the truck, I think it was like the one where it pulled the train.
Right.
Yes. And I was like, that's a lot of torque.
It is a lot of torque. It's 100% torque at go. And that's what I think is really attractive about EVs. There was actually some talk about this. I was in a clubhouse room this morning. There's some talk about this EV push and just the reality that we're facing, that is, hey, you have to resource energy for EVs as well. And so, with Ford coming into the market with a heavier EV push, and, we're going to talk about Elon in just a second, but the necessity for raw materials to do all this, obviously the vehicles are attractive. The things like the torque are attractive, but what's the transfer to mass market? I think it's still a big question mark in a lot of people's minds.
Well, the truth is that nothing is ever all good, right? There are always trade-offs, right? And I mean, I know fuel economy, or not fuel economy, but mileage is a trade-off.
Yes.
Right? The fact that you can get a pickup truck and it has 320 mile range. It's like, well, 320 miles if under these conditions. And if it's not cold out, right? If it's cold out, you're going to.
If you didn't actually try and tow something, which is what this thing is supposed to do, right? Yeah.
And you want to run the heat in the winter, right? Well, there goes your mileage, right? It's like the heat being on never affected your mileage on a nice vehicle. By the way, so is it an EV or is it BEV? It's because it's battery powered electric vehicle, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What other type of electric vehicle is there?
Well, there's a hybrid electric vehicle, because like a hybrid is actually an electric vehicle as well, right? It has battery capacity.
Is it considered an electric vehicle?
Yeah, because I mean, it's called a hybrid, but I think the terms are interchangeable, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what it is. But is it a BEV? Is it an EV? Right?
I know. I just saw that and I'm just like, what other types are there? So either way, at this Ford event, it's going to be live streamed, so it'll be fun. We'll make sure we're tuned in to watch. Obviously Ford really kicked Tesla's butt in getting to market, right? Big time. The Cybertruck was really the first pickup that we all saw and kind of were like, oh, look at this thing. And then Ford was like, oh yeah, check this out. And now they're like, oh, check this out. It's ready for production, right? So Ford has really took the fight seriously and is taking it to Tesla and is about to launch. And I think, we'll get a good preview and an indicator. Interesting stat. So reservations they capped it at 200,000 reservations for the truck, right? So they're not just reserving forever and just saying like, hey, look at this big number. They're saying, what can we actually deliver on? Also, we don't know how many of those reservations actually converted into orders, but check this out. 70% of the reservations are new to Ford and to pickups. So
Nuts.
never owned a Ford, never
That's a
owned
crazy stat.
70%. 7 out of 10 people never owned a pickup and never drove a Ford. Talk about brand development.
One
Dang.
of my favorite words in automotive is market share. And
Yeah.
that's called picking up market
Ultimate
share.
It's the ultimate KBI.
Woo!
Yeah. We got a comment here from Chris. He says some EVs have swappable batteries and some have to be plugged up. Yeah, but even if you plug it in, you still got to store the power somewhere, unless you have a really long cord.
Yeah.
So just a dumb joke. So 70% market share. So we'll see how that actually affects it. And, you know, when you look at the Ford F-150 Lightning, I personally was like disappointed it didn't look significantly different than the F-150.
It's the one truck that's come out that's not like, oh my goodness, that's an EV, like flat front, you know, all that type of stuff. It actually still feels more like a truck.
It looks like an F-150. Like if you didn't know it was battery powered, you're like, oh, that's a redesigned F-150.
Exactly.
You know, cost savings. I mean, look at this, $39,900 for $39,900 for the entry level Pro model. It's like a pickup truck that costs $39,000. It's battery powered. Now that one doesn't have the extended battery, so I don't think that one's, you know, there are definitely trade-offs. But fully loaded, you're shelling out $92K, but you're getting all the features. And I don't know if this is a feature in just the EV, but they have like these fully reclining front seats. It lays all
like for those 5 times where you know,
late nights on the job site in your Ford Platinum, right? The foreman is driving the Platinum and he's never sleeping on the job site.
He's never sleeping. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
What else?
I'm just so interested by it because then you talk about the dealer model. I mean, there's just like we could talk about this for like 20 minutes.
We talked about it yesterday, right?
Yeah, we already talked about it. It's like, what's the dealer model on the end of these deliveries, and is there a margin for it? And you know, can the dealers here's my question. Are the dealers prepared to talk about the truck? Are the salespeople, are the sales managers prepared? I don't know. Maybe they've been doing training platform. We need to talk to a Ford dealer, but you know, are they actually prepared to have the conversation with a very educated customer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back when I've told you before, I was a Leaf salesperson originally, and I knew more about Leafs than anybody because we had to go to training. We went to training at Nissan corporate, all of this type of stuff. And even still, there would be customers that came in and I'm like, you're literally blowing my mind with the stats that you know right now. Yeah. They got spreadsheets on this stuff.
They know it. Well, even think back to the last stat we just put. If 70% of your buyers are new to Ford and new to pickups, they're not going to be like, yeah, I wanted a pickup truck, so I'll take this one. No, it's like they know all the ins and out of this product. They're actually enthusiasts at this point, right?
Well, they're early adopters. We talk about that adoption curve, right? And this is like pre-market early adopters, very, very small. They are, you know, typical of that class of buyer is willing to take risks on something new, right? They're heavy researchers. They pay attention to leading indicators. So this isn't 200,000 people that are in the mass market. This is a very, very unique niche, and you have to care for that niche very, very well. Brands like Apple know that all too well.
No doubt. Well, let's move from that EV story. We're talking electric vehicles today, and we're going to end with I think it's kind of like a punchline. It's like kind of EV pop culture. But so Honda is they just said that they will be releasing 30 EVs. 30.
By when, Paul? Tell us by when.
2030.
No way. Blowing my mind right now.
No. But the reason he's saying this because we always joke like every manufacturer's come out and say we are going to lead the EV market by 2030, right? It's always like it's like almost political, like a politician's like, hey, we're going to eliminate this by long after I will ever be able to be accountable for this, or you will ever even remember I said it. Right? That's typically what they should say. But here's the deal. Honda came out and they said, we're releasing 30 EVs by 2030. Now that's only 6.5 years away. So if you're making a big swing statement, like you are going to have to show some very significant steps toward that. And they already are, you know, they have that partnership with GM. They're developing technology. But here's kind of the thing about Honda, right? As opposed to Ford or GM or Tesla, right? I'm reading this from, I can't remember where the article's from. Well, it's linked up in the comments. All the articles are always linked up in the show notes. So if you want to look a little further, it's like some kind of like Green Car Global, whatever. But here's a quote from the article. It says, as the world's largest power unit manufacturer with annual sales of approximately 30 million units of mobility products, including motorcycles, automobiles, power products, outboard motors, and aircraft. Honda says that it aims to realize carbon neutrality for all products and corporate activities they're involved in by 2050. So, carbon neutrality by 2050.
Right.
But to this end, Honda believes that a multifaceted, multidimensional approach is needed, not a mere replacing engines with batteries. So look, we Honda lawnmowers and motorcycles, all kind of powered things, planes, powered things across the world, right? So they have a different type of leverage and a different type of business than a straight auto manufacturer. So they've taken a big swing right out front. There's a presentation you can watch. And they also said something we talked about yesterday. They're shifting their revenue model from non-recurring hardware sales, right? Buying actual physical stuff, to a blend of recurring sales of both physical and software. So subscriptions, I don't know, maybe battery replacement services. I don't know. They didn't say that, but that's like they're thinking around it three-dimensionally. So as we think through EVs, as we think through cars, right? It's important to zoom out for a second and realize the game is bigger than that.
Yep.
I got
and
go ahead.
Everybody's moving to subscription model. Every multiple, every shareholder, everyone wants subscription model because it's recurring revenue. And so I would just challenging all businesses to think how they can exercise their business as a recurring revenue model, not a transactional model. And because that's what the manufacturers, that's what the big companies are headed after, because they know that's the capacity for growth. Right. So,
yeah, without a doubt. So, I mean, we see a lot of players making a lot of moves in this time, right? The ground is shifting and the people that are making moves are going to be the ones standing. Like if you just sit still and stay in place and try to hold on till it's over, you're done. You're done. Just give up now. Get a day job. Get a day job. Because
get a day job.
What you have now isn't working. It's not going to work in the future. All right. Let's talk about someone who doesn't have a day job.
Stop.
Segue.
My question is, when does Elon find the time to do this? And I get it. Lots of people have lots of business interests and stuff like that. But what guy figures out the time to tell his lawyers and legal to submit a SEC filing to buy Twitter at 100%? And not just that, but to be so sneaky as to say that I'm going to buy it for $54.20, including the numbers 420, which, if you know anything about Twitter, are very, very important numbers, right? So funny.
That's where the Easter egg is. So Elon Musk submitted here's the story. If you haven't been following along. So Elon Musk, a big proponent of free speech, very, very polarizing figure, obviously across automotive, across space travel, across internet access, and on and on and on. Well, he's very active on Twitter, and lately he bought about 9% of Twitter. Was it a week or two ago?
Yeah,
and
a little over a week ago, 9.2%. He's the majority owner of the company.
Not
because
the
of how many shares he bought.
He's the largest share.
Largest owner. Sorry,
yeah.
Largest.
And so, Kyle's way better at math than that.
Yes.
Like all of this started happening, right? He started posting polls on his Twitter feed saying like, hey, should we do this or should we do this? Because now the Twitter board is paying attention and he's got all the momentum behind him, right? All the momentum behind him say like, yeah, what Elon thinks, like, hey, let's get on this train. So they offered him a board seat. He turned it down recently, said, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's what we think happens. We were talking about this before the show. They were like, Elon, we have a seat on the board. He's like, I'll consider it. Right. And then he has a couple conversations and he's like, this isn't going to work. Right. He's like, I'm not taking a board seat to be largely benign and waste my time. He's not a guy that wastes his time.
Right.
And so he gave his best and final offer, is what he called it, Twitter, to buy it out at $54.20 a share to get all of the outstanding shares. Now there's 799 million shares. He owns 9.2% of those already. The price tag for the company was just over $54 billion. The current valuation for market cap is $38 billion. So he's paying a significant premium to be the 100% owner of Twitter. And he even said,
it's like $7 a share right now, above what current share price is.
And so his wealth total is $260 billion. But here's what he said. He said, if my offer isn't accepted, I'm going to reconsider my position as a shareholder.
Yo, watch that stock. Watch. I would sell. I'm not a financial advisor.
Well, Tesla shares dropped a little bit when he announced this because they're like, oh, here he goes getting distracted.
Here it goes again.
Right? It's just the voting machine of the stock market. But here's what I think. I don't think he planned on doing this when he first bought those shares.
I don't think so either.
I think he's like, I'm going to buy a share. I'm going to see if I can do something to make this go in the direction I think it should. They offered him the board seat. He's like, he met some of the board members and like had that conversation. He was like, not doing that. I'll buy the whole thing. Actually, if I can't buy the whole thing, I'm just out.
I'm out. It's such a riot, man. It's like, if you don't think the world is turning upside down, just watch the news for just a hot minute and you'll notice that every day things change.
Well, all that said and done, we hope you go and turn your world upside down today, or at least ride the wave. Get on top of the wave. Don't be under it. Pay attention to what's going on. And look, put your hands in the dirt today. Serve someone, care for someone, innovate something. Just go and do something. Let's go.